How is it possible that some freedivers can hold their breath for several minutes and you struggle with only 1 minute or 1:30 or even maybe 40 seconds? It is probably because you're making one of the 10 mistakes we're going to discuss in this video. 10 common breath holding mistakes and how to fix them. If you're new to this channel, my name is Gert Leroy. I'm a former national record holder in freediving. I run a YouTube channel with over 1.4 million subscribers, and I've helped thousands of people on YouTube hold their breath longer and find peace through the practicing of breath work by freedivers. So let's get started. What mistakes are you making? Number one, poor preparation. Now, what does that mean? It means what you are doing before you hold your breath. For instance, if you eat before you hold your breath, what happens? Then your digestive system has to work hard. And when your digestive system works hard, it means it uses energy and thus oxygen, and that oxygen cannot be used to hold your breath longer. So it becomes difficult to hold your breath when your stomach and your digestive system is working. What else can you do before the breath hold that would result in a more difficult breath hold? Well, when you work out before you hold your breath, then you are again using energy and you're still recovering from that. So even if you stop working out, and even if it was already a couple of hours ago, your body is still processing all of this energy expenditure. So don't work out before you hold your breath. And another thing is bad sleep. If you sleep only a couple of hours or you just sleep less than normal, then your body is craving more sleep. So you cannot hold your breath. You cannot be at your best in breath holding when you haven't slept enough. So you need to be fully recovered, fully fresh when you hold your breath. And that's why I recommend to hold your breath right after you wake up before you eat. So you get out of bed and the first thing you do is a breath hold session before you eat, because that's when you get your best breath holds, right after you get out of bed. Mistake number 2, sitting in an uncomfortable position. You have to be comfortable when you hold your breath. Now, take a look at this picture. This is the typical lotus pose. We see this a lot in yoga pictures. It looks cool. It's good for Instagram, but it's not so good for your relaxation. Unless you have really flexible hips, then it might be a relaxing position. But let's be honest, for most people, including myself, this is not a relaxed position. So if you hold your breath in a lotus pose, you're not going to be able to hold your breath as long as you can. You're not going to reach your full potential. So what is better? Better is to just sit on a chair. Sit on a chair with your feet flat on the floor, your palms up towards the sky, resting on your knees, and just in an upright position, you hold your breath like that. Now, why did I include 2 different versions of this in the picture? So the second one is the person leaning a little bit forward. Well, I'm going to give you some details here. If you sit straight up like this, straight up, then that's an active position and you're engaging your abdominal region to sit up straight. So you're actually using muscles to sit up straight. But if you go a little bit forward, and you let your belly fall out, so you're not engaging the abdominal wall anymore, in other words, you're just falling a little bit forward. So instead of sitting like this, you're just falling a little bit forward. That is actually a more relaxing position. So you don't want to sit too much straight up, because then that's a too much active position. Does that make sense? And if you would be holding your breath in the water, then there is another problem with position. People that tell me, hey, I can actually hold my breath longer on dry land. In the water, it doesn't work. I can't hold my breath in the water. And that is because you haven't found the best position yet. Because actually, when you do find your best position in the water, that's when you can hold your breath longer than on dry land. But to get there, to hold your breath longer in the water, you have to first find that position. So most people, they struggle with floating. So you have to get used to floating in the water. So before you try a breath hold in the water, by the way, always with a buddy, of course, you have to try first the most relaxing position. You have to try how to float. Depending on the depth of the pool, will your feet touch the floor or not? Will you hold on the side of the pool or not? These are all things that you have to test first before you hold your breath. Number 3, tilting the head too much backwards. I see some people holding their breath like this. So when your chin is up, you have a lot of tension here in the neck. This is not a relaxing position. So what you have to do is tuck the chin a little bit. It doesn't have to be like this. This is too much. This is exaggerated. But from here, you go to here. And in yoga, we call this, I hope I pronounce it correctly, Jalandhara Bandha. The chin goes a little bit down. And this is the most relaxing position. So like this, the top of your spine, your neck is aligned with the rest of your spine. This is a relaxing position. This carries tension. And whenever you carry tension, you cannot hold your breath as long as you potentially could. Number 4, opening up your eyes. I see this a lot when a breath hold becomes more difficult. Suddenly people, they go from this to, they want to see something. And if there's a clock or if they're wearing a dive computer, then they want to see the time. That's the worst thing you can do, because if you look at the clock, if you open your eyes and you look at the clock, then you're totally out of your concentration, you're out of your comfort zone. If you're doing a Zoom call with me, for instance, in my community, the Underwater Squad, school.com/underwater squad, we do bi-weekly Zoom calls. Sometimes people, when the breath hold is getting more difficult, they open up their eyes and they want to look at the screen and see me and the other people. Don't do that, because you completely get out of the zone. You have to keep your eyes closed to maintain that focus. Number 5, moving the body or head too much. So what I see also is when people hold their breath, sometimes I see people like moving around and then the head, and instead of just sitting still, there's a lot going on. And all of these are signs, of course, of stress. This is subconscious stress, subconscious anxiety. People are not aware of this, but me as a coach, I see this happening, so I have to point this out. So instead of moving around and trying to find a way through this breath hold, you just have to sit still. And if things become more uncomfortable, just sit still. Moving around is not going to help you. Just sit still and relax even more. When things get more difficult, relax even more. Join our New Year's Kickoff challenge, guys, which starts on the 6th of January, which is now Monday morning. So depending on where you are in the world, Monday morning we start our 6-week breathwork challenge, which is a preparation to holding your breath longer. So in the Underwater Squad, we have Ultimate 1, that is the 6-week challenge, and we have Ultimate 2, which is a breath hold training program. This is a course or a challenge that is a preparation to hold your breath longer. Here you will learn all the necessary skills to hold your breath longer. So when you start the training program, you are fully geared up and your progress will go faster. So go to school.com/underwater squad. If you want to be part of that, you can register now this weekend, and we start Monday morning. Number 6, what I also see sometimes is that during the breath hold, people, they start scratching their face or touch their nose. So from complete relaxation, sometimes people go like, as if there's something wrong with the nose. So you know that is just stress, that is just anxiety. So you don't have to scratch yourself, you don't have to touch anything, just sit still. And I know when you hold your breath longer and CO2 builds up and it becomes more uncomfortable, I know that you're struggling to deal with this. That's okay, that's fine. That's why you learn, that's why you practice breath holding. But this is not going to help you. Just sit still and don't use energy. All of this is using energy. All of this is bringing you out of your concentration. Just sit still and think about that one mantra. When things become more difficult, relax even more. Number 7, tensing up the tongue. This happens a lot. So people carry stress in the jaw and on the tongue. So I cannot see this because your mouth will be closed, of course. But when people hold a breath and they become unconsciously, subconsciously stressed, they start putting tension in the tongue. So either they push the tongue all the way up to the hard palate and really pressurize this. So they push the tongue up, or they hold the tongue in an unnatural position. So when you hold your breath, you have to be mindful about this, that you relax the tongue. And what is the relaxing position of the tongue? Take a look at this picture here. The tip of the tongue rests on top in front of your mouth. So right where your upper teeth starts. So right here behind the upper teeth, the tip of the tongue can actually touch the back of the upper teeth. And that's a relaxing position. Now, you don't pressurize, you don't put force in your tongue and press against your teeth. You don't do that. That would be a stressful situation. But just slightly touching, that's a relaxing position. So while you hold your breath, many times during your breath holds, put your focus to your tongue and ask yourself, is my tongue relaxed? Another common mistake that people make during breath holding is biting on their teeth. Not so much the front teeth like you see in the picture, but more the back teeth. So they're like biting on their teeth. This goes together with carrying tension in the jaw and tension in the tongue. So be mindful about this. Just like focusing on the tongue, is the tongue relaxed? You should also focus on your teeth and your jaw. Am I biting on something? Because when you bite, you're using energy. So don't bite. If you are biting, then let your jaw hang. So everything needs to be relaxed. And number 9, I see people carrying tension in their eyes. This is maybe a difficult one to assess this yourself. So a coach has to point this out. But sometimes I see people holding the breath like this. So you see, I'm carrying tension in the eyes now. Now this is pretty obvious, but sometimes it's not so obvious. Sometimes it's only a little bit of tension, like this. That's a little bit of tension, but it can be better. This is totally relaxed. Totally relaxed. This is already a little bit of tension. I can already feel I'm using the muscles here. So during the breath hold, you have to do some kind of mini body scan. You know the body scan, right? When you go over all the body parts, but the face is really important. So bring your focus, your attention to your face and think about the different parts of your face. Am I relaxed? Or the eyes relaxed? Is the jaw relaxed? Or the teeth relaxed? The tongue? And so on. And number 10 is being scared of low oxygen. So what stops people from holding their breath longer is the fear of running out of oxygen and thus blacking out. Now, I cannot tell you that you should not be scared of blacking out, because that's not going to work. The only thing that works so that you can stop being scared of blacking out is that you understand how breath holding works, and therefore we have to take a look at the graphical representation of how SpO2, the oxygen saturation, how this evolves during a breath hold. So the blue line is when you hold your breath. So the horizontal axis is the time, the vertical axis is the SpO2, your oxygen saturation. So we start at around 99%, almost 100% oxygen saturation. And as you hold your breath, the oxygen saturation goes down. And when we reach the blue point, which has the arrow advanced, right? Because this is an advanced breath hold. When we reach the blue points, we are at about, let's say, 60-65%. It's way above the 50%. So the 50%, 45 to 50%, that is the hypoxia threshold. So an untrained person would probably black out when he or she has a 45 to 50% SpO2 level. But in this breath hold, the blue line, we are not reaching hypoxia levels. We are not reaching 45 to 50%. We are aborting, we are stopping the breath hold somewhere around 60-65%. And this is already an advanced breath hold, because if you hold your breath until 65% SpO2, that's not a beginner's breath hold anymore. That's already an advanced breath hold. So why does this person stop the breath hold here? It is because the CO2 is going up so high that the breath hold becomes so uncomfortable that you have to stop the breath hold. So what stops the breath hold, even for this advanced freediver, is not low oxygen, but it's high CO2. High CO2. So high CO2 stops you from holding the breath longer and prevents you from blacking out. Now I've put there a green arrow as well, which says beginner. So as a beginner, you will never hold your breath until the blue dot. You will stop somewhere in the middle because you haven't trained your CO2 tolerance yet, and you cannot tolerate that much CO2 yet. So you will stop the breath hold earlier. When you feel like a little bit of urge to breathe, you will already stop that breath hold as a beginner. So take a look, where is the SpO2, the oxygen saturation there. It's almost like 95%. It hasn't gone down that much. So there is really no risk at all for a beginner to black out, even for intermediate or advanced breath holding. The problem with blacking out is only when you hyperventilate, because then you start with lower levels of CO2, and I've made many videos about hyperventilation, also about the Wim Hof method, because that is hyperventilation. So if you want to understand how hyperventilation works and how hyperventilation is a shortcut to actually blacking out, then you should go to my playlist Wim Hof, where I talk about all of this. But on this video today, I'm going to keep it short. There is no risk for blacking out because CO2 will stop the breath hold before you black out. Guys, join my New Year's Kickoff challenge on the 6th of January. You can register now already. The first 7 days are for free, so you've got nothing to lose. I don't ask you to make your mind up already. What I'm asking you is to join on the 7-day free trial. And during those 7 days, you can just figure out if this is something for you or not. So you have access to the 6-week New Year's challenge, the breathwork challenge. And if you decide, hey, this is nothing for me, then you can just leave before the 7 days are over. And you don't pay anything, and that's perfectly okay. So you can start the new year right. Let's do this all together on Monday. Try for free school.com underwater squat. This is the page how it looks like when you type in school.com underwater squat. It's in the link in the description. Of course, it's everywhere on my social media. This is what you see inside of the underwater squat. Ultimate 1, the 6-week challenge. Then you got Ultimate 2, which is the breath hold training program. You also get an exercise library, and you get a breathwork masterclass where we go in depth on difficult topics like oxygen saturation, hyperventilation, hypoventilation, and what actually happens when you hold your breath. And you can also get a free lifetime membership if you reach a certain level in this community. Guys, join us January 6th. I would really love to see you there. You can try out for 7 days for free. Learn breathwork from a freediver. Press the button start free trial. That's all you have to do. Press the button start free trial, and I see you inside. Peace in every breath.